Many of us can be called to do certain tasks, and we may not feel that we can do them. But when God chooses us, He makes no mistake. When we feel that we can't do what God asks us to do, then that's the point where we could definitely ask God for help and to guide us to what He wants us to do. Now, if you go with me to the book of Exodus, chapter 3, verse 7. Si me acompaña el libro de Éxodo, capítulo 3, verso 7.
Bendito, aleluya. Amén.
It says like this. And the Lord said, but just before I continue, this is a point where Moses is amazed from seeing the bush burning, and he's speaking to God. And as I continue reading, the Lord said, I have surely seen the affliction of my people, which are in Egypt, and have heard their cry by reason of their taskmasters. For I know their sorrows, and I come down to deliver them out of the hand of the Egyptians, and to bring them up out of the land unto good land, and large unto a land flowing with milk and honey, unto the place of the Canaanites, and the Hittites, and the Amorites, and the Perizzites, and the Hivites, and the Jebusites. Now therefore, behold, the cry of the children of Israel is come unto me, and I have also seen the oppression wherewith the Egyptians oppress them. Come now therefore, and I will send thee unto Pharaoh, and thou mayest bring forth my people, the children of Israel, out of Egypt. And Moses said unto God, Who am I that I should go unto Pharaoh, and that I should bring forth the children of Israel out of Egypt? And he said, Certainly I will bring thee, and this shall be a token unto thee that I have sent thee when thou hast brought forth the people out of Egypt. Ye shall serve God upon this mountain. I like how Moses seems to kind of ask, well, why me? Why should I go? And God certainly says that He will be with him. And sometimes we get into moments where we feel like we can't do certain things. But with God's help, we can do anything. For Him, nothing's impossible. But we can limit ourselves, but when we have God, we can be limitless. Now, if we go through chapter 4, starting verse 1. And it reads like this, and starts off saying, And Moses answered and said, But behold, they will not believe me, nor hearken unto my voice. For they will say, The Lord hath not appeared upon thee. And the Lord said unto him, What is that in thy hand? And he said, A rod. And he said, Cast it down on the ground. And he cast it on the ground. And it became a serpent, and Moses fled from before it. And the Lord said unto Moses, Put forth thine hand, and take it by thy tail, and put forth his hand, and caught it, and it became a rod in his hand. And they may believe that the Lord of God, their fathers, the God of Abraham, the God of Isaac, and the God of Jacob, hath appeared unto thee. And the Lord said furthermore unto him, Put now thy hand in thy bosom. And he put his hand into his bosom, and when he took it out, behold, his hand was leprous as snow. And he said, Put thine hand into thy bosom again, and put his hand into thy bosom again, and plucked it out of his bosom. And behold, it was turned again as his other flesh. And it came to pass, if they will not believe thee, neither hearken to the voice of the first sign, that they will believe the voice of the later sign. And it shall come to pass, if they will not believe also these two signs, neither hearken unto thy voice, that thou should take the water of the river and pour it upon and dry land. And the water which thou takest out of the river shall become blood upon dry land. And Moses said unto the Lord, O my Lord, I am not eloquent, neither heretofore nor since thou hast spoken unto thy servant. But I am slow of speech and slow of tongue. And the Lord said unto him, Who hath made man's mouth, or who maketh the dumb or deaf, or the seeing or the blind? Not I the Lord? I'm gonna pause right there. So it seems like Moses tries to limit himself. But then God shows him miracles that he can do and prove him that he is powerful and that he can be with him.
Hallelujah.
And that when he has him, he can do it all.
Amen.
And I like how it continues. Now therefore, I will go with thy mouth and teach thee, thou shalt say. And he said, O my Lord, I pray thee, by the hand of whom thou hast sent me. And the anger of the Lord was kindled against Moses, and he said, Is not Aaron, the Levite thy brother, I know that he can speak well. And also, behold, he cometh forth to meet thee, and when he seeth thee, he will be glad in his heart. And thou shalt speak unto him, and put words in his mouth, and I will be with thy mouth, and with his mouth, and I will teach you what ye shall do. And he shall be thy spokesman unto the people, and he shall be to thee instead of thy mouth. Thou shalt be to him instead of God. And thou shalt take this rod in thy hand wherever thou do signs. I like how, like I said, I like how Moses said, like, I can't speak. But here, I'll send your brother, he will speak for you.
Bendito, aleluya.
See how Moses had limits. He didn't think he could speak. But now, that doesn't mean that God can't use him. Because he still wanted to use him despite of what he limits himself.
Bendito, aleluya. Aleluya.
Now, if we keep reading throughout the chapters, Moses has to meet with the Pharaoh, and he has to convince him to let the people of Israel go. But the Pharaoh doesn't want to. And so God, through Moses, shows him reasons of what would happen if he doesn't let the people of Israel go. And then so all these plagues happen, and the Pharaoh finally gets convinced. And y'all come with me to chapter 14.
Aleluya.
Santo es el Señor, aleluya.
Gloria al nombre del Señor.
I'll be chapter 14, verse 10. And when the Pharaoh drew nigh, the children of Israel... Wait, are you guys there? All right. And when the Pharaoh drew nigh, and the children of Israel lifted up their eyes, and behold, the Egyptians marched after them. And they were sore afraid, and the children of Israel cried unto the Lord. And they said unto Moses, Because there were no graves in Egypt, hast thou taken us away to die in the wilderness? Wherefore hast thou dealt thus with us to carry us forth out of Egypt? It's not this word that we did tell thee in Egypt, saying, Let us alone that we may serve the Egyptians. For it had been better for us to serve the Egyptians than we should die in the wilderness. And Moses said unto the people, Fear ye not, stand still and see the salvation of the Lord, which he shall shew to you today. For the Egyptians whom ye have seen today, ye shall see them again no more forever. And the Lord shall fight for you, and ye shall hold your peace. And the Lord said unto Moses, Wherefore criest thou unto me? Speak unto the children of Israel, that they go forward. But lift up thy rod, and stretch out thine hand over the sea, and divide it, and the children of Israel shall go on dry ground through the midst of the sea. And behold, I will harden the hearts of the Egyptians, and they shall follow them, and I And I will get me honor upon Pharaoh and upon all his host, upon his chariots and upon his horsemen. And the Egyptians shall know that I am the Lord, for I have gotten me honor upon Pharaoh, upon his chariots and upon his horsemen. And the angel of the Lord, and the angel of God, which went before the camp of Israel, removed and went behind them. And the pillar of the cloud went from before their face and stood behind them. And it came between the camp of the Egyptians and the camp of Israel. It was a cloud and darkness to them. But it gave light by the night to these, so that the one came not near the other all the night. And Moses stretched out his hand over the sea, and the Lord caused the sea to go back by a strong east wind that night, and made the sea dry land, and the waters were divided. And the children of Israel went into the midst of the sea upon the dry ground, and the waters were a wall unto them on their right hand and on their left. And in this life, we all come to moments of doubt. Some people have said that they would have, and as we read here, some people have said they would have much rather stay in Egypt, because as the chariots were coming, they thought they were just going to die. But I think this part is important, because we can't limit God. And it's important for us to have faith in God, because God does things that for us is very impossible. Like, who would have ever thought that those rivers were going to open and the people were going to walk in dry ground, and that the Egyptians were just going to be washed away? No one would imagine that. And can you pull up Jeremiah 33, verse 3?
Santo es el Señor, aleluya. Santo es el
All right,
Señor.
Jeremiah chapter 33, verse 3 says, "Call unto me, and I will answer thee, and shew thee great and mighty things which thou knowest not."
Aleluya, amén, amén.
I really like this verse, because
Santo es el Señor, aleluya.
when the way we see things, we think that things are impossible. But we can't never limit what God can do.
Santo,
It's just,
aleluya.
it's just how amazing to me, because
Majestuoso.
it says, "And shew you thee great and mighty things which thou knowest not." Like the water opening up. Nobody ever thought we would do that, but God does great things.
Aleluya. Gloria a su nombre, aleluya. Salve mi rey, aleluya.
Now, as we get to chapter 16, if y'all can come with me, chapter 16.
Gloria a Dios.
Chapter 16, verse 3. And it says, "And the children of Israel said unto them, Would to God we had died by the hand of the Lord in the land of Egypt, when we sat by the flesh pots, and when we did eat bread to the full, for ye have brought us forth into this wilderness, to kill this whole assembly with hunger." Then said the Lord unto Moses, "Behold, I will rain bread from heaven for you, and the people should go out and gather certain rate every day, that I may prove them whether they will walk in my law or no. And it shall come to pass that on the 6th day they shall prepare that which they bring in, and it shall be twice as much as they gather daily." And Moses and Aaron said unto all the children of Israel, "And even then ye shall know that the Lord hath brought you out from the land of Egypt. And in the morning then ye shall see the glory of the Lord, for that he heareth your murmuring against the Lord. And what are we that ye murmur against us?" And Moses said, "This shall be when the Lord shall give you in the evening flesh to eat, and in the morning bread to the full. For that the Lord heareth your murmurings which ye murmur against him. And what are we? Your murmurings are not against us, but against the Lord."
Aleluya.
Going back to Jeremiah chapter 33, verse 3. When we call upon the Lord, we see great things.
Aleluya.
And this is what Moses, I feel like Moses is basically telling the people, because they're still complaining that they're going to die of hunger and maybe they should just stay in Egypt. But here's where God uses Moses to help the people claim unto God for them to regain their faith and to continue to see great things from the Lord. Then, in chapter 17, verse 1,
Santo, aleluya.
Gloria a Dios.
and all the congregation of the children of Israel journeyed from the wilderness of Sin. And the journeys according to the commandments of the Lord, and pitched in Rephidim, and there was no water for the people to drink. Wherefore the people did chide with Moses, and said, Give us water, that we may drink. And Moses said unto them, Why chide ye with me? Wherefore do ye tempt the Lord? And the people thirsted there for water, and the people murmured against Moses, and said, Wherefore is this that thou hast brought us up out of Egypt to kill us and our children and our cattle with thirst? And Moses cried unto the Lord, saying, What shall I do unto the people? They be almost ready to stone me. And the Lord said unto Moses, Go on before the people, and take with thee of the elders of Israel, and thy rod wherewith thou smotest the river, take thine hand and go. Behold, I will stand before thee there upon the rock in Horeb, and thou shalt smite the rock, and there shall come water out of it, and that the people may drink. And Moses did so in the sight of the elders of Israel. And he called the name of the place Massah and Meribah, because of the children of Israel, and because they tempted the Lord, saying, Is the Lord among us or not? I think this is amazing because God's still showing them great things, and Moses still wants them to claim unto God. I like the way he says, like, why are you complaining to me? Why don't you just ask God and he'll give it to you? In many moments of our lives, I don't know if y'all can relate, that you're doing something and then there comes some roadblocks and then you feel like it's impossible to get through those roadblocks. But once you have God in you, once you ask God for help, it will be there. You'll get through those roadblocks right away. And through my experience, I've gone through many roadblocks in life, and yet I've been successful so far, and yet I still ask God for help for anything that I do.
Hallelujah.
And my last verse that I have is Isaiah chapter 40, verse 28.